some more quotes to keep you busy on the day. The trouble with the rat race is that even if you win, you're still a rat. Lily Tomlin. A very, very interesting one for me is the Sylvia Plath quote that I wrote down was, "And when at last you find someone to whom you feel you can pour your soul, you stop in shock at the words you utter. They are so rusty, so ugly, so meaningless and feeble from being kept in the small, cramped dark inside you so long." This reminds me of when I was younger and trying to, express myself with someone that I found attractive or wanted to be with. And then, as you get older, you realize that the emotional content and the emotions are far more important, and it becomes more hard. It becomes harder. It's an interesting thing. The most convincing sign that someone is truly living their best life is their lack of desire to show the world that they're living their best life. Your best life won't seek validation. Don't know who that was. If religion were true, its followers would not try to bludgeon their young into an artificial conformity, but would merely insist on their unbinding quest for the truth, or unbending quest for the truth, irrespective of artificial backgrounds or practical consequences. H.P. Lovecraft. So it's one of those interesting things, basically a religion, in my eyes, is something that is a guide to making you live the best life. It is, the Bible, which means library, is a collection of books that tell stories that have influenced legal systems, influenced the world. Not all of them are relevant. We've changed over the years. We don't have 10 wives and 5 husbands and things in a relationship in most situations. But there are lots of things that the stories can guide. You can seek guidance, and religion, I think, is basically there as a guidance, that if you have trouble on some moral questions, it's a brilliant thing. But anything that gets politicized and other things, which religion undoubtedly does because you get people involved, becomes something more of a difficult thing for people to. It drives adherence or strict adherence to a rule. It usually ends up with a conflict of some description. But something that I discovered was the Spartacus uprising, which was the Greek gladiator, who was about 70 years, they call it 80 years before Christ, and the sort of birth and life and death of Christ. And he basically, in the Spartacus revolution, gladiator army, then gladiator, so obviously had done something slightly wrong to end up being a gladiator, then ends up liberating a number of gladiatorial kind of essentially prisons, leading the Greeks in a revolution and trying to create a separatist new state that was a utopia. That it's a. I mean, I'm not going to go into the politics of the actual uprising, but what happened afterwards was the key thing. Is they rode the legion out and they suppressed the uprising, and I think they took about 6,000 prisoners, and all the way on the way back to Rome, every 100 yards they impaled one of them and left them there to die, and every single one of them all the way back, no questions. So there were no prisoners taken, really. They were just executed quite summarily. Imagine marching your anyway. I'm getting to the point I'm trying to make is, I die for your sins, is maybe Christ didn't want to create a revolution. He just wanted to, provide guidance and then suddenly he gets a following. It gets deemed as an uprising, and do you want all those people to die, or can you do it in the way of give yourself up, you die, and everybody else that's probably quite a militant anti-Rome faction at the time. It's one of those things that I've always, since I discovered the whole, the context of the life of Jesus, is, it was quite an interesting thing, and the aspects of the Old and the New Testament, how it was selected in certain stories that didn't follow the narrative, that weren't easy to digest, were kind of binned, and those stories and oral traditions died out. Again, I'm fully supportive of religion as a guide, and yeah. Anyway, there is a freedom waiting for you on the breezes of the sky, and you ask, "What if I fall?" Oh, but my darling, what if you fly? Aaron Hansen. Yeah. As you get older, the choices you make become more risky, more dangerous, and it is it's the joy of those choices in life that drive. I have fallen many times, but for brief periods I have flown. So yes.